Hello there, welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 962. Episode number 962 of the Agostino Zinga Show, coming at you live and direct from an undisclosed location somewhere in the depths of East London. How you doing? How you feeling? Great, amazing, good to hear. Great, amazing, good to hear. Things have been pretty good over here on this side of the world. Not so much, not so good. Actually, let me be real for once. It hasn't been good. Last few weeks, it hasn't been good for your boy. I'm not gonna lie, it has not been good. I've had a little bit of a, I've had a bit of a tooth issue. I've had a bit of a dental issue the last few days. That's put me on my ass. I've also had this random fucking flare up of fucking allergies and shit. That's really fucked me over, so much so that I had to go get a new pump, and I'm hopefully going to get an asthma assessment or another allergy assessment done next week. But the gum thing was horrendous, so I've got, basically I have to go get my what's that thing called? I've got to get my root canal finished. I haven't had my root canal finished just yet. I haven't had my root canal finished. They've done the first bottom bit in terms of sealing the bottom and shit, but I haven't got the hole actually filled in yet. And I guess because that happened, now which I'm quite diligent in cleaning my teeth and washing it and shit and rinsing and whatever, brushing. But I guess over the last few days, I must have either left some food in there and it picked up some sort of infection or something, which then led me to having some sort of abscess on my gums, on the lower side of my gums. And it legitimately put me on my ass for the last few days. I haven't been able to get out of bed and shit, been really immobile, been kind of just in a constant, you know, like I had that feeling of like being in a constant loop where I was like kind of getting shivers, waking up, then sleeping again, open my eyes and it was like 4 hours had gone by again, feeling really cold, and then I had just had this fucking throbbing pain on the bottom of my gums. So it's been really kind of shitty, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go get sorted out tomorrow. Fingers crossed I get my antibiotics tomorrow. I'm going to go to the dentist in the morning. I tried to go to the NHS dentist, but NHS dentist, there's like no dentist in London, where I live anyway at least, that's accepting new NHS patients. So you have to go private basically. So now I'm having to go private. I called around and most places were charging anywhere between like £45 to £68 for an emergency or whatever, for like a consultation or whatever. And then obviously through that consultation they'll then recommend if you get some sort of medication. So I'm hoping they give me some antibiotics so I can get rid of this thing. And the other thing as well, it makes it horrible, it makes food taste disgusting. Like whatever I eat, I've had this weird taste in my mouth I can't get out. And obviously ChatGPT told me that most likely that has been caused by the abscess or the pimple that was inside my gums, which was next to the tooth that had niece. And I'm pretty sure it was a root canal tooth, because it was a pimple that was directly underneath like the root canal tooth that's fucked up. So it obviously something happened there where maybe it got infected, maybe there was some debris there, some carcass material, some bodily fluid, I don't know, there was something there that my body did rejected, and it ended up getting infected, and my whole mouth and my whole body shut down. And the last 2 days has been tough, not gonna lie. Last few days has been fucking tough. So I'm getting through it little by little. I'm getting through it. And tomorrow, fingers crossed, I get my antibiotics from the dentist. I pray to God they don't just tell me, oh, come back another. I mean, I hope that one consultation or whatever I get. I did describe my issue with them over the phone. One of the good things about where I live, although we don't have a lot of dentists that are willing to accept NHS patients, and when I mean NHS, I mean basically free healthcare. You have free healthcare in this country, and obviously you can get dental work, but dental work, for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe it's because there's a lack of dentists, I'm not too sure, maybe because it's oversubscribed, but most dentists have like a waiting list of like a year plus for you to get on the list if you're on NHS free care. So that doesn't concern. But the best thing is that the area that I live in, there's lots of private clinics. That's the good thing. There's loads of private clinics in the area that I live in. So if you've got the money to afford it, you can go and get it done. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, fingers fucking crossed, I'm hoping that I can get it fixed up. And then obviously later on in the year as well, I just want to get the root canal finished. Because I think I didn't finish the root canal because it was costing so much. I think how much did I pay so far? I think I might have paid like £500 already for the root canal. And they've only done like half of it. You know, and the other half is like 1,000 or 2,000 something, something crazy. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? I'll just avoid chewing on that side. I'm not gonna spend that money. And now You know, I'm being taught a lesson as to why I probably should have spent that money anyway. But fucking hell, man, dental work is so expensive. So fucking expensive. But it's also given me an appreciation and a respect for teeth. I'm usually very clean in terms of my personal hygiene anyway. But it has given me pause for when I was thinking about going to Turkey and getting my Turkish chompers, getting my Only Ways Essex teeth. Now I'm definitely off of that. I'm never gonna get veneers, never gonna get fucking all that shit. I'm just gonna go the fucking regular way and get fucking what you call it, like Invisalign done, and get my teeth lined up properly if there's things I need, because I've got a tooth at the bottom here that's chipped from when I was in school and I fell down playing Wembley. Big up Wembley, one of the best fucking playground games in the world. I'm just gonna go do that. I'd rather get Invisalign, get my teeth fixed up properly, than get all that fake shit, because some of the stuff that I've seen online with all that fake shit is it's fucking spine tingling. And also, to be fair, I'm not that much in a rush, you know. I don't need to have the instant Hollywood smile. I don't mind, you know, it taking some time. I'm also really into the idea of, because I've heard that if you get Invisalign or just any type of braces that kind of correct your teeth properly, it can kind of restructure, move around your fucking jaw, so you end up with like a different sort of like face structure. I'm curious to see how that ends up. You know, it's like not free, but it's like an alternative version of cosmetic surgery, I guess, right? It's like non-invasive in a way, because it changes fundamentally your whole fucking jawline and shit. So I'm curious to see how that works out if I do end up getting it done. But that's something that we'll probably do in the future. And like I said, replacing the other teeth with whatever needs to get done in terms of chipped tooth and stuff. But I'm not going to do the whole like shaving my teeth down and getting those fucking fake things put in. No way. No fucking way. But yeah, pray for me tomorrow. Pray for man tomorrow. Moving on to better things, I wanted to recommend something to you. It's a TV series. It's on BBC. I watched it on BBC iPlayer. I'm not sure where it's going to be available, wherever you are in the country or you are in the world. But it's also got a season. There's 2 seasons of it. I didn't know. I thought there was only 1 season, but there is 2 seasons. So don't spoil the second season for me. But I watched the first season and I really enjoyed it. It kind of hit close to home. Some of the subject matter that they were speaking about, but I really did enjoy it. It was a really it was really interesting premise on like a whodunit, on a thriller. And the show is called Blood. BLOOD. It came out, I think, in 2018, 2019. And the whole premise of the series, just to give you kind of a brief synopsis, is the series opens with this lady, the blonde lady there on the left hand side. She's a bit ratty. She's a little bit, you know, I won't say neurodivergent, but she's a little bit anxiety ridden. And she's on her way back home because her mum unfortunately passed away. But she wasn't there when her mum passed away, so she's trying to get back as quick as possible to be there with her family and shit. But as she's kind of going back to meet up her family, you find out through little tidbits that she's not, you know, they don't get on too well. She's like the black sheep of the family. And you find out as well that she has a very contentious relationship with her dad. But her siblings, brother and the sister, don't see the dad as bad as she does. Like, she thinks the dad's like a bad dude, super evil, very manipulative, gaslights her and shit. Loads of mental abuse, right? Loads of bullying, loads of weird shit going on there. But her siblings can't see it. And what you get the idea of towards the first, you know, just the first episode, you get the idea that essentially her family have made her feel like she's crazy from the time that she was a child. She's always made her feel crazy for how she feels about her treatment that she gets directly from her dad, and the fact that the dad doesn't treat the other kids like that, you know? So it's a really kind of interesting complex. So then by the time she gets back to the house, and to meet her siblings and her dad, it then quickly transpires that the daughter immediately doubts whatever version of events happen in terms of her mum passing away. She's not buying it. She's not buying it in the slightest. And obviously throughout the whole series, it kind of plays out about, you know, what really happened to her mum, how did she actually pass away, and then we get loads of flashbacks. But I thought it was a really, 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 really good series. Honestly, I really enjoyed it, and there was a couple of times I had to kind of, you know, collect myself and pause it, because there were some moments where I was like, oh my god, man, this is very, very, very reminiscent of my upbringing and some of the issues that I had growing up, which is kind of cool, I think, because I'm not too sure about you guys, but I think when you're younger, right, especially living at home. If you're going through a tough time, coming into your own and shit, just maturing, you know, whatever else it may be, you for some reason believe like you're the only person going through what you're going through. You think you're the unluckiest person in the world. How did I get put here? Why are they like this? Why don't they just understand? Leave me alone. Whatever thoughts you have in your head, right? I'm 16, I can do what I want, right? You have this really strange perception of the world. You think everybody else's upbringing and childhood is perfect and yours is the worst ever. But really and truly, the older you get, or the more experience, or the more people you speak to, the more life experiences you have, the sooner you realize that there are different people on different levels of the socioeconomic ladder who go through the same things that you do, and sometimes worse. Because in this particular story, these people are not poor. They come from a pretty middle class, maybe upper middle class background. They live in a nice country house somewhere, or, you know, each kid has a decent enough job and shit, you know, whatever. I think some of the kids, one of the kids is living in a house rent free and shit. Like, it's not like a, you know what I mean, it's like a well-to-do kind of family, and they're still going through you know, weird family shit, and some of the stuff that you would imagine would only be applying to people that come from like maybe poor, disadvantaged backgrounds. So it's always kind of interesting when you see these type of things play out the way they do, because like I said, I remember when I was younger, especially at home, you really did think, well, at the time, especially for me anyway, I felt like I was the only person going through what I was going through, and everybody else had some sort of like idyllic, almost, you know, Disney-esque upbringing that they had at home, when really the reality was we all had our problems, we all had our issues, and we were all just trying to figure it out the best way possible. My mistake that I made, if I had to look back on myself and say, you know what, if there is, because I'm a big believer in personal accountability, extreme ownership, and everything is your fault. If I have to take that lens, if I have to take that perspective and think about how I fucked up, I think the big mistake that I made, and I think sometimes a lot of people do this, or maybe I'm the only one that did this. For some reason, when I was living at home, I tried to make my parents understand me. I tried to convince them of what I was feeling. I wanted them to understand where I was coming from. That was the biggest mistake ever. That was the biggest mistake ever. If you know anything about traditional African families, immigrant families, there is no convincing, there is no conversation. It's their way or the highway. If you don't like it, go out. So what I should have done was just suck it up. Suck it up. Don't fucking complain. Don't fucking cry. And then whenever you get your job, save up money and then leave. But I spent so much time trying to convince, trying to corral, trying to, you know, have these fucking big meetings where you sit down and try to talk about this. And then throughout those big fucking meetings, quote unquote, it turned into a fight, it turned into an argument, you know, and I'm sure some of you guys are the same. My parents know how to press my buttons so well. My parents know how to press my buttons so fucking well. So they'll be pressing my buttons, I'll explode, I'll say something out of turn, right? I'll maybe use the wrong phrase, I'll maybe come across a bit rude, a bit confrontational, a bit aggressive, and then suddenly whatever point I had is gone. Whatever point I had is eviscerated. Now they're gonna hold on to that thing. You see, you're not a good son. Well, look what you've done. Look what you said. How dare you speak to me? And then it's like, oh my god, here we go. You know. So that's the main mistake I made. I should have never made that mistake. I should have never made that mistake. But then my little brothers, which is why this fucking series triggered me, my little brothers got away with it scot-free because I was the oldest. So I was the one that was getting most of the fucking pelters. They didn't really see it because they were hiding behind me, figuratively speaking. And to be fair to my little brothers, they also had for whatever reason, maybe because they learned off of me by just observing, or maybe because they're just, you know, more attuned. I think to be fair to them, I think they're a lot more perceptive than I am. I think my brothers are a lot more perceptive socially. I think they're able to read situations a bit better. So maybe they were able to just understand my parents as people better than I was. I think I just saw them as, like, you know, people that I had to kind of combat and fight against. I think they just saw them as humans, and they were able to kind of, like, you know, play them off each other a bit to their advantage. But they didn't really see any of the stuff that I saw, you know, and they were able to kind of get away with it scot-free. And most of it, I think, was because they had the ability to just be like, you know what? This is their place. We're going to just keep it moving. And they're still living at home to this day. Like, I could never have done it. My little brothers are still living at home to this day, thriving and stuff, you know, thriving and living their best lives. But it's because they've been able to just know, okay, let's, you know, there are certain things we can't do here because of how they are. We're going to allow it. We're not going to fight for our right to fucking party or whatever. and we're going to keep it moving. So that's something that I think you learn, obviously, with age, with maturity, and blah 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 blah. But I did get a lot of it from that series. Honestly, it felt weird watching this. It really made me feel somewhat uncomfortable sometimes. Like I was like, oh my god, did this happen to me? I remember this. I remember being made to feel crazy because I had a problem with something. I don't know what it was at home or something, and you're getting gaslit. And this is before the term gaslit even was invented. You're being gaslit by your parents. Like, hold on, like I'm not crazy. Like my feelings are valid, but really they're not. Really they're not. That's one thing you have to know. Really they're not. You're better off just like grinning and bearing it, sucking it up and going elsewhere. If that's that's I guess my advice. I'd say it's a bit counterintuitive, but you know, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Talking about things we can do, I've been listening to The Boy Who Played Harp, the album by Dave, since 4-year hiatus. I've been listening to it for the last hour or so, and I want to give you my opinions and my thoughts and the feelings about the album, because I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, because it is a bit of a wordy one, right? It's not like he's not out here saying the least, he's out here saying the most. But I did actually enjoy this album, and I, for once, actually, during these album reviews, I actually did jot down some ideas and some initial thoughts that I'm going to read for you here, courtesy of my little text edit pad. So, this is what I saw. Bear with me 1 second here. Where is it? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool. Let's get this there. I need to hide all these. Bear with me. Cool. Okay, cool. There you go. So, big up Dave, and big up Dave, big up Blood Clot Dave. So first off the bat, I've not been the biggest Dave fan over the years, I'm not going to lie. His style of rapping, that almost like spoken word type of thing, the poetry sort of vibe, the whatever, I'm not really a fan of it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Whatever that style is, I'm not the biggest fan of it, because I hate spoken word stuff. Like what was that thing that Def Comedy Jam did? Like, where the black people, America, would get on stage and you'd be like, the fist in the air because I don't care, but you don't take me back because I'm not black. And I don't know, all that revolutionary, like, count me out of it. All that blackity black shit, all that poetry shit, Def Jam Comedy, I think it's called Def Comedy Jam or something. I hate all that shit. I fucking hate it. Most of those type of people that love that sort of stuff as well are people that I generally wouldn't get along with. They're the type of people who think fucking Kendrick Lamar Socrates or some shit. I fucking detest it. So Dave has that sort of style. Dave has that kind of style. But to be fair to him, he does have like grime underpinnings. He does come from a particular era of MCs where you kind of had to still spit. You might have your little quirky idiosyncrasies and shit, but you still had to fucking spit. So I think underneath all the fluff, underneath all the Kangol hats, underneath all the fucking finger clickings and shit, he still is a fucking sick rapper. So wasn't surprising that overall, rapping wise, I did enjoy it. There were some cringy moments here and there, but I think overall I did really enjoy it. So I wrote my initial thoughts here on my notepad. I'm going to read out to you, track by track, of what I thought of the particular album. So the track opens up with this track called History, track number 1. I didn't mind History. I thought the first half was decent, okay, but I thought the second half, it kind of fell off, and there were some really cringy bars towards the end. Let's see if I can actually find them. There were some really cringy bars on the second half of History featuring James Blake, which I really did not like. Let's see if I can find those actually. Are they going to be available on here? I'm not sure what they were, but I remember there were some bars that I heard when I was listening to the first track. I was like, what the fuck is that? Let's go to the second verse. And when they talk on my name in this country, they're gonna tell you that I'm already a legend. Streatham that I'm repping, clean stepping, bro. You need to forget it. Fuck eco-friendly, my car eco-aggressive. Like, come on. And my eco-aggressive, you better leave a message. Yeah, you've done it for a year, but it ain't impressive. I give a fuck about success if it ain't successive. That ain't history. City's gonna listen and repeat. Gone a couple summers, so they miss me on the beat. It don't matter if she pretty and petite. If she ain't B, she can't even kiss me on the cheek. But that obviously isn't true. That's what I think. That's why I was like, hold on, that's not true though. We've heard and seen that he's been linked to, a couple shorties who are not, let's say, melanated. I'm not sure why that's even a problem. I don't give a fuck about. I don't truly give a fuck who they fucks. Really do not care. But why would you say this? It's obviously a lie, or are you saying it to kind of grab people's? Because that could be the intention. It could be like a rage bait line. Let me say something that's demonstrably not true, like, you know what I mean, and then to catch people's attention so they can kind of refocus on what I'm saying. I heard that, I was like, huh? That's not true though, because if that's what I'm sure when he said if she ain't B, or I don't know if he means beautiful or black, but I'm assuming he means black. Because it don't matter if she, because the bar before it says it don't matter if she's pretty and petite. If she ain't B, she can't even kiss me on the cheek. So I'm assuming he means black. But again, I don't think that's. But to be fair to him as well, there was a big not scandal, but there was a bit of controversy a couple of years ago when some girl that he was linked to was exposed to the blogs. I think I might have saw on the Shade Bar before I got fucking blocked from the Shade Bar. Down with Shade Bar, by the way, for blocking me for no reason. But hey, we digress, we move, we champion, we fast forward. I do remember that being a bit of an issue. People complaining in the comments that I don't know what they expect him to. I don't know who they expect him to date and shit, but they weren't happy that the person that he was dating at that time was not black, and that was a big to do. So I wonder if that's what he's addressing. Either way, it's a lie, so it doesn't make any sense why I put that there. It is what it is. It continues. It says, Mum said never build a house on sand, but I don't think I listened. Car, the villas by the beach, and it did. Why am I putting the pressure? Am I doing an impression of him now? I don't know. And I did it off of beats. Yeah, I just whip it and screech anytime you see my niggas in the streets. And then James Blake chorus, verse 3. My mum told me what my name really means, and the powers just kicked in. Honestly, man, like this whole like naming thing, like I don't want to get into it because people are going to start thinking I'm like, you know, anti and shit. But there is a certain segment of the black population, and this fucking obsession with like names and their meanings and shit, like Sunday, victory, just like fuck off, bro. Just be a good person. Like, what is this? Are we children? Are we literally playing make believe? Is this is this a fancy dress party or something? Like, what the fuck is all this? Why is everyone so hung up on like what day they were born, what fucking season it was, like when, how, he, like, come on, bro. Like, honestly, there are people born in fucking crack dens who go on to fucking lead fucking multinational companies. It really truly doesn't matter how you grow up in your circumstances, to a certain extent, as long as you get out of it fully intact, right? Not incarcerated, all your limbs, your fucking mind is you're of sound mind. You can dictate your own path. Your name and all that stuff doesn't really, it's not I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to get into it because people are going to say I'm on some mad thing. Got me thinking back days when I was a victim in this thing, thinking I was keeping it balanced. I was even embarrassed selling CDs in Paris, but this gave me everything I need in a marriage. I can't speak sideways on grime, jungle or garage. I love that line, by the way, because those are the underpinnings of black UK music, I think, and just in general, those are the underpinnings. Everything that we're seeing now, all the success that people are having now, is because of those three genres. Without those three genres, we don't have what we have now. When I know that it's this reason we managed to make history, don't be a hero. I ain't looking to hurt anyone. I got a clean one, I got dirtier one. I never see a man late to his own funeral, but I done see a man show up early to one. I prefer the ones. That's a line. That's a bar, by the way. I've never seen a man late to his own funeral, but I done seen a man show up early to one. That's a bar, I'm not gonna lie. I prefer the ones that slim, but I don't mind me the curvy one. Yeah, I'm coming from the south of the river where the sky is black. If not for the history that we made, they wouldn't like rap. Niggas trying to water down our ting. It's time to fight back. For 70 hours I've been stepping on powers, and it's definitely ours. It's time. You mentioned my name, better know that you're playing with pepper. You borrowed a meal, I told him to pay me whenever. Woo-hoo-hoo. To be fair, I'd never like to be in that position. If you're my friend and I give you a meal, just know I don't want it back. No one needs to borrow £1 million. I mean, what the fuck does that mean? If I'm giving you $1 million, I'm giving it to you because you're my friend and I love you. Here, you're my friend. Hold this, enjoy. But I'm not expecting you to give it back, because that's definitely going to be a destroyer of friendships. Expecting someone to give you back $1 million. Like, how do they give it back? In installments? Is it with interest in one go? Like, Jesus, I don't know. But big up the problems that I would never have. Not because I'll never get $1 million, but because, you know, I'm not going to give anybody $1 million. Let's continue. Niggas, I knew it was different from this moment that we came in. You can call me cause I'm verbatim. The woman with the Renaissance painting. I'm Michelangelo David. I'm Michelangelo's David. Sorry. And anytime you mention me in a statement, you better know that's it. So I didn't really like that second half, right, of that particular track. It wasn't really my favorite. I'm not going to particularly lie. But then we continue. Then it goes to track 175 months. I wrote here that I love the beat. It sounds a little like you. It sounds like something that you would hear from. Have you heard something you could hear from Drake? Oh, from the early Drake. What's that Drake record? So far, is it So Far So Gone? No, So Far So Gone. What's Drake's first album? The one where he's got his head and he's like there's a park behind him. I think that's what it sounds like. I think that's what it sounded like. Let me go. Where is it go? Where is it? It's a mixtape, right? Is it Never the Same? What the fuck's a mixtape called? Drake's first mixtape where he's like standing outside and he's got a line in his head. Let's see Drake's mixtape. Oh, how did I forget the name of it? There we go. Comeback Season. So 175 months sounds like something you'd hear from Comeback Season. I think the whole actual album's giving me that kind of vibes. I'm not going to lie. And that particular track as well, it kind of gave me, because I think there's a track on that 107 on Comeback Season from Drake where he's got a track that samples Licky Lee, and it kind of samples a lot of that kind of era of like indie dance music, whatever that genre was called back then. I think it's kind of giving me a bit of that resonance. I also feel a little bit in terms of sonics and shit, if that makes any sense. This album kind of sounded a little bit like 808s and Heartbreak. There was something about it. I'm not sure if it was the warbling or the simpleness of the tracks. I think like even all the songs, I think were like there wasn't that many layers. I don't think on the tracks. Although it didn't sound like anyway when you listen to it. It kind of sounded like it was like maybe 3 or 4 layers, 5 at most. Very stripped back, but you know, very punchy beats. So it kind of made me think of Drake Comeback Season, Kanye West, AOS and Heartbreak, and specifically on that Drake album, on that Drake mixtape, that song by Licky Lee. Number 3 track, No Weapons. I hate it immediately. It sounded like a gospel track, like some sort of song that you would hear from like a church rap group. Big up G-Force. It kind of sounded like that. It kind of like sounded like something you'd hear maybe at like a youth church sort of thing. It's the kind of thing maybe your parents will be happy to hear you playing in the house because it's talking about Jesus and God and shit, but it's about, you know, it's rapping in a contemporary way. I really did fucking hate it, and it's sad I hated it because I'm a big fan of Jim Legacy. I've been on his hype train. I've been, you know, a big fan of his since he kind of popped onto the scene for the most part. And although I didn't mind his appearance on here, I think the subject matter of the track itself and everything else about it, the chorus, No Weapon Formed Against, just too cringe for me. Not really for me at all. But one thing I did like about it was the bar that he's got where he talks about thirsting after the Claremont twins. I'm not gonna lie, I felt him immediately about that because there is something about the Claremont twins. I'm sure some of you guys out there know what I'm talking about. It's the same thing goes for like Jocelyn Hernandez. Same thing goes for Tokyo Tony. There's a particular type of black woman that exists out there, especially in America, where you know you shouldn't, but you really can't help it. You know, Jocelyn Hernandez is one. The Claremont twins are another one. Tokyo Tony is another one. And there's maybe a couple more that I'm kind of forgetting off the top of my head. So it's kind of funny to hear Dave talk about the Claremont twins, because I was like, you know what, this guy knows ball. This guy knows ball if he's talking about the Claremont twins. So I think it's somewhere down here. Where's the bar? There you go. Yeah, here's the bar. And it goes, slow down, rude boy, you don't know me. Cut through Southwest on a low key. Cordons on my estate. We done carpool karaoke. That's quite a cool line, by the way, because I'm assuming he means James Corden lives in the area that he lives in. I'm in the middle of the party, but I don't dance in France. Yeah, I got a sexy one trying to flirt and distract me from my righteous path. I still want one of them Claremont twins. The allegations are dark. I like this bar. This is one of my favorite bars on this, I swear to God. But at least I know she gonna do me and my dog. Not really into the whole dog thing, I'm not gonna lie. Never been into that sort of stuff. Never actually got it. Don't understand it. The whole, like, you know, fucking Eiffel Tower high five thing that guys like. I'm not really into that. Especially a friend, like, it's a bit weird. You know, I don't want to see my friend's piece, I'm not gonna lie. Don't really want to see my friend's piece. Don't really want to see my friend, like, eyes roll back. don't want to hear my friend grunting and moaning and shit. I don't want any of that shit. So I never understood it. I never got the whole like tag team, me and my boys do the thing together and like what? Like I don't get it. I don't get it in the slightest. But I think there's a certain breed, a certain person that kind of is into that sort of stuff, but not for me. If I had the opportunity to one of the Claremont twins or both, it'd be me and me alone. It'd be me, some chemical enhancements. Some chemical enhancements and a hell lot of cardio. You get me? Ew. I know, ill. I know it's ill. Please forgive me. Let's continue. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about here, so we talked about the Claremont Twins track. Let's go to track number 4, chapter 16. I love this one. I think he should have put this at the intro. Yeah, this is the track with Kano, right? Kano and Dave. Oh my god. This is definitely the standout track. Maybe this or 27th birthday party. But I think this track with Kano is absolutely phenomenal. Them going back to back, bar for bar, like oh my god. Oh my god. Phenomenal. You know what it made me think of? It immediately made me think of, it's such a shame that Kano didn't stay in Nasty Crew for long, because I think if I remember correctly, Nasty Crew, by the way, my favorite grime collective or crew of all time. DW is probably my favorite MC of all time too. That era of Nasty Crew where Kano was in it, Monkey, Footsie, Marcus Nasty, Hyper, Sharky, Stormzy, RIP, Nasty Jack, a bunch of them, right? But those, and Ghetto before he was called Gets, before he changed his name to Gets. But there was a period where Kano was in fucking Nasty Crew. Kano, fucking, for fuck's sake. So I remember that just being a phenomenal era. Listening to fucking them, you know, shut it down on the, I don't know, what is it? Was it Deja Vu FM maybe back in the day? That was maybe playing, that they used to jump on quite a bit, recording the sets on my tape, which I regret throwing away. I should have kept some of those tapes. I probably had some rare things down there, but I threw most of those away. And it also reminded me of listening or hearing Kano spit at some ADAS event I went to in Berlin many years ago. He absolutely killed it. And I think obviously back then too, grime wasn't as big as it maybe is now, maybe not what that well received, and the crowd didn't really know too much about him, and I was one of the only people sorry, I was one of the only people in the crowd that knew who he was, and I was literally spitting all these bars, bar for bar and shit. It was fucking hilarious. Little evening there, big up fucking Kano. But it was phenomenal track. Don't have more to say about it than about that. Kano fucking smashed it, gave me goosebumps. I willed it back. Did I will this back? No, I didn't will it back. I played it through the whole way through, but still a phenomenal track. Then I'll say track number 5, Rain Dance featuring Thames. Thames is definitely the standout of this track. Another really good one. Definitely, if there's like a top 3, it'd probably go Thames is probably the track, or Thames' track's probably going to be in there. Rain Dance, it does feel like a rain dance, to be honest. You put that on and legitimately the fucking heavens will open. Thames' voice is fucking heavenly. I feel like Dave purposely pulled back a little bit. The lyrics are a little bit, I would say dumbed down, but they're stripped back. They're a lot more simple. They're not as wordy as maybe his other records, I think. And he really let Thames breathe and do her thing. Thames really shines so well on this record. Thames, phenomenal record. One of the records I really would love to hear live. Like, she is, I don't know, it's otherworldly. It gives me goosebumps even just thinking about it now. Thames was fucking phenomenal. Really recommend you check it out. Really recommend check it out. That particular track, Rain Dance. Then there's another track called Selfish. This is where I replayed. Usually when I listen to albums, I'm a big believer in listening to an album all the way through with no fucking skips, all the way through with no pauses, all the way through with no replays. I'm a big believer in it. But there are some instances where you listen to an album for the first time and you're so compelled, a tune hits you so hard, you just have to you just have to rewind, you just have to pull it back, you just have to scrub backwards and start again. And I think for me personally, I was tempted to do it on fucking Rain Dance, but Selfish did it for me. Selfish spoke so much to me. I think I wrote it here on my notes. I felt heard and seen. I felt seen and heard in fucking 4K. What an amazing record. I can't imagine what that's gonna sound like if it's played live. Just a piano playing in the background and Dave fucking doing his thing and people like me in the back in the crowds barring, you know, crying as we're fucking screaming the bars at the top of our lungs. James Blake, James Blake on there. Woohoo! James Blake on Selfish. That's retrograde era James Blake, bro. That's a pre-Jamila Jamil James Blake. He rolled it back, bro. He was phenomenal. James Blake on that track is really good. Really, I think throughout the album anyway, his little sprinkles are decent enough. But I think this particular record, Selfish, you get it's a nostalgia feeling. You really do feel like this is vintage James Blake. He's back to his fucking best. He spins on that record. But wow. This record's amazing because it made me reflect on a lot of things that I've done in my life, and it made me think to myself, you know what? Am I selfish? It made me think about that deeply. I think you should check it out. And another track that I also replayed about 6 or 7 times, 2 tracks back to back, was Selfish, and the second one was what? You guessed it, track number 7, My 27th Birthday. I avoided all the leaks online. I'm not going to lie. I avoided most of the spoilers, but I did see people online mentioning My 27th Birthday, and I know why they're talking about it so much online. Wow. But unfortunately, when I did hear it, this is a criticism because I'm going to get up to the good stuff. I'm going to glaze in a minute. But when I did get to this part of the album, it made me think, this album is not for the outside, innit? It's not for outdoors. This album's for like late night drives. I don't think you could play this at a barbecue. You could probably play this at church if you wanted to because it's quite emotional. You couldn't play it at any dances. Like there's probably one record on here you could play outside in a dance. Maybe one tune, and that's maybe Marvelous, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But there's not a lot of like upbeat kind of like happy go lucky tunes. It's a very introspective, very deep, very emotional album overall. So that was the one thing I was about. I wish there was some balance, you know. I wish there was a switch where you kind of turned up a little bit, but this is Dave, and it doesn't really turn up like that. But hey, My 27th Birthday, I like this. I like his comment about bloggers not being needed. I agree, but if we're being honest, there's not a lot of people who actually talk about music. It's always about stats, and we have academics to blame for that. Yeah, he does mention on that particular record, there is a bar here where he talks about how he doesn't feel like commentators, people like myself and others, are not necessary in the industry, right? It should just be about what you feel about music and shit going forward. Let me see if I can find it on here and really butcher what he said on here. Was something about commentators, right? There we go. Here we go. So he says, we don't need commentators. We could leave that to the sports. Just listen to the music. Why do you need somebody's thoughts? And some of it is constructive, but most of it is forced. And why are we counting the numbers? How the music make you feel? I'm just being real. He's right. But I think he's also a bit wrong, because I think most people, with the exception of maybe a couple, most people out there that do like music reactions or like, you know, talking heads who are, I don't know, people that, I don't know, tastemakers, whatever they people describe them as, influencers and shit. Most of these people focus on like the bigger acts, and they also focus on numbers. There's not really a lot of conversation around albums, about songs, structures, about good features, about lyricism, about breaking down the beats and shit, whatever, sequencing of the album, artwork, music videos. No one does that. Everyone just kind of talks about the surface level things anyway, for the most part. But I've never really been a big believer anyway of like, even if somebody does go deep into the music, as in taking their review as gospel, you should always listen to it yourself. You should listen to it yourself and kind of glean your own opinion as to what you feel about the record. And in general, I'm a bigger believer, even if you're going to go listen to somebody, like to a Fantano, for instance, why not listen to an anti-Fantano after you've listened to the album yourself? Listen to the album yourself. Maybe go to him for like taste, for like because maybe there's just too many albums out there, and you might trust his overall taste because you think, oh, he's eclectic and he's into a lot of things I might be into. So maybe you could go for him for a reference and say, okay, cool, he listened to this album from this band, from this group, from this person. I'm going to listen to it myself, and then I'm going to play his review after, and then see where you guys kind of like, you know, agreed or disagreed. But I don't believe in the idea of like using him as your touch point, as your referral, and like whatever he says is gospel. That's really weird. I think people who do that are strange. The people who do that are the same type of people who post up on social media and say, hey guys, what should I pick? And they post up 2 pictures of t-shirts. Like, what do you guys think is the best one? It's like, why are you crowdsourcing your t-shirt choices? Like, just choose one. Trust your taste, trust your ability to fucking choose a fucking t-shirt and go from there. Don't ask other people what you should be wearing on your fucking body. Same sort of thing when it comes to music. Don't ask other people what you should be listening to. You should be maybe using it as maybe a reference to bounce off, or listening to it to yourself and then make your own decision. Not just agreeing because they said it's good that you agree is good as well. So I don't necessarily agree with that point of view, but I do like what he was saying overall when it comes to that. And then the other thing I really liked on this record was, yeah, we were back a few times, and in terms of the bars, some of the bars that really stuck out to me on my 27th birthday, and lines. Let's see, bars and lines, right? The line that I liked, I started off with, is, I can't lie, it even shocks me how I'm living now. I can't lie, it even shocks me how I'm living now. I thought that was a really great way to like humble brag and kind of talk your shit without talking your shit. I love that, bro. I love that line. I can't lie, it even shocks me how I'm living line. And it also kind of like is really cool because you don't necessarily get that, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a it's a bit of an intrusive question to ask in an interview. But you don't really, and people, or maybe as well, I think as humans, once you go through like a really struggle period, you go through a hard time, if you come into good times, you don't really want to reminisce or talk about the hard times anymore. You just want to kind of forget about it. You want to press fucking control, archive, delete type thing. You know what I mean? You want to empty recycle bin on that shit. But it would be nice if some more people were able to kind of reflect and be like, "Rah, man, I remember there was a time where I was like struggling to have my balance above a certain number. And now I don't even need to worry about ever checking my balance, you know? Now, do you know what I mean? Like, whatever little thing that they kind of notice when they come into a bit of money, how it changes their behavior, how it changes their perspective, how it maybe alleviates stress, how maybe it, you know, changes how they kind of walk, move, sleep, whatever. I'd love to hear those type of little things. But that line itself, I think, is very illuminating. So big up Dave for that one. Another line I liked for my 20th birthday was, I've got withdrawal symptoms, but it only happens at ATMs. Next 2 years, I'll be looking at ATMs. That is a bar. I'm not gonna lie, he fucking went crazy on that one. Another one I like, he says, never trust a girl who lock screens a picture of herself. I repeat that for the mandem at the back. Never trust a girl who lock screens a picture of herself. And I think he mentions, oh, trust me, I learned it the hard way. And like, I think he says it here. Let me see if I can find it somewhere. Bear with me. But I'm pretty sure he mentions that he had to go through that himself, and that's why he's there we go. Yeah, if my music just become a deception for my wealth, never trust a girl who lock screens a picture of herself. I had to learn that shit myself. Now I'm sitting here by myself with no girl. Like, shit, I really did this to myself, honestly. Honestly, this is a bar, absolute fucking bar. I fucking love it. This is something that I've always been keenly aware of. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I needed Dave to tell me this. I've always been somebody that's been sounding the alarm. Anyone knows me personally would know. I've always been someone that's been very like put off by people, men or women, who have like an Instagram feed of just themselves. Every picture, every fucking rectangle, every fucking square is just them. Selfies. Like, even if it's a slideshow of other pictures, the first picture is just them. I think you are disturbed beyond disturbed, especially when you think about how Instagram first was launched, right? Behind, like, you know, the idea of like taking great pictures of your quote unquote life and what you get up to and shit. It wasn't always about fucking selfies. Obviously it's evolved and it's developed into another social media app. It's not the same thing what it was when it first started, but still, the notion that you just sit on that particular app and you just take pictures of yourself and upload your own profile and all you have on your feed is yourself is fucking insane. On the flip side, don't do what I do, when I have no pictures of myself whatsoever on my social media. You won't know what I look like unless you fucking click my link tree. But I do think people that do that are bizarre, and the same person that would have a feed full of selfies is probably the same person that has their wallpaper on their phone be a selfie of themselves too. That is fucking strange. I don't care what anyone tells me. It's as strange as somebody that has like a fucking portrait of themselves in their house. Like, you have a massive framed picture of yourself in your own crib that you took at some fucking photo studio somewhere. That's fucking bizarre. Unless it's a picture of you, you know, with your fucking degree. Unless it's a picture of you with some sort of certificate, you know, ceremony or some shit. A picture of you at your wedding. A picture of you at somebody else's wedding. Cool. But just a picture of you, just like sitting on a chair. Just a picture of you lying on a fucking O, an illuminated O or something like you got from fucking Facebook. Like, allow it. You are a weirdo. And it begs to. It's probably one. It probably goes without saying. The same person that does that, I think, is also the same person that records themselves crying. The same person that has a lock screen picture of themselves, wallpaper phone, their phone wallpaper is a picture of themselves. It's probably the same person that puts their camera on selfie mode, flips the camera around, and then starts crying on command. That's the same type of person. So definitely make sure you run a mile if you're a man them out there with those type of gal them. You get me? Another line that I really liked from him was, everybody's making content, but no one's content. Repeat that again. Everybody's making content, but no one's content. Love that. I don't want to leave my house. I'm stressed out. That spoke to me. Everyone knows I don't leave my house. That's fucking spoke to me. When I was getting stood up by artists, I'm bigger than. That was a bar. Let me see if I can find that one. That really was like, hold on. Is that actually true? Did that actually happen? Let me see if I can find it, because that was actually illuminating, because it told me that things never change. No matter what level of artist that you are, you're still gonna get, you're still gonna get fucking big time by some people. Doesn't matter who you are. So it goes, here's how the bar goes. It says, all I thought about was the song we could give the fans when I was out there getting stood up by artists I'm bigger than. I don't want no girls around when my nieces they visit, man. But imagine that. Imagine Dave being at a situation, Dave being a point in his career. If I understand that bar correctly, or that line correctly, he was still getting stood up by artists. I guess because you went on like a 4-year hiatus, and maybe if you're an artist trying to, pop now, trying to be relevant now, you probably maybe think maybe a feature with him might not be as, prominent, or might not do something for you than somebody that's really kind of stepping and putting out singles and shit. It's kind of wild, isn't it, to think that even Dave is getting big time. Dave is getting fucking, done dirty by people because he's not, let's say, like super relevant, even though he's like a big act here in the UK. Because he hasn't been putting out music lately, people are like, you know what, you're not that relevant, you're not scorching hot, allow it. And then the last line also I wanted to mention here was this one: I want to be a good man, but I want to be myself too, and I don't think I can do both. I'm sorry, man, that spoke to me so freaking much. That spoke to me so freaking much. I was like, you know what? That's me. That is me. I want to be a good man, but I want to be myself too. And I don't think I can do both. So I can't let her too close. It hurts, but I'm still moving. Feel like it's me versus me, and I'm still losing. That spoke to me, man. That's my bar. That's my bar right there. That spoke to me right there. I want to be a good man, but I want to be myself too. I don't think I can do both. That's the fucking eternal struggle that a person like myself feels. I want to do good. I want to do right. But deep down, I'm a piece of shit scumbag. So what's the point, Honestly, I fucking enjoyed that. So big up fucking Dave for that particular record, which I played. I think that was a record time of wheel ups. My 27th birthday, I think I wheeled it up at least 27 times. Marvelous was really good. I mentioned it before. That was a more of an upbeat record. I wish there was more of that, maybe a couple more to kind of balance out the album, but it was a 10 album record. Really kind of like concise, not a lot of fluff in the record itself. Even if you don't like its emotional side of it, it's still, I don't think there was a lot of fluff. It didn't really get boring, to be honest. It couldn't, because it's only 10 records, but still it did a good job of holding your attention without kind of doing too much. But I did think there should have been a lot more like bits of like time for you to breathe a little bit, so you weren't so introspective, right? Because I feel like every record was an introspection. Every record was like a emotional personal inventory. You're going through your shit like I would have liked to have time to just kind of be like, okay, cool, can we just take a break? Can we like put on some can we put on some, something a bit, we can just dance a little bit. So I think they did a good record with that. And then Fairchild, sorry, for me too much after what I just said there. It was a record, I think, talking about, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of a perspective of a dude trying to understand how women feel uncomfortable with some men when they're being creepy and stuff. Like it's got a good premise around it, but I found it a little bit too much. There was a good line at towards the end where it said, someone just asked you on a date. It was your dentist. He just went downstairs and got your number from the reception. Like, it was like, ooh, I wonder how many women have gone through that particular scenario. Probably loads. But yeah, that was a really, I guess it good subject matter, but it's a bit too much for me. And then towards the end, the boy that cried wasn't the boy who played harp at the end. But at that time, I was kind of zoning out. It was too much emotions going on there. But overall, I did enjoy the album. I didn't really know what to expect before going into it because, like I said, I'm not the biggest Day fan in the world, but I did think he did a really good job, very concise, through the point album. I thought the sequencing was fairly on point, with maybe the exception of the chapter 16. I probably would have started the whole track with chapter. I'm not going to lie, I would have probably started with chapter 16 with Kano, and then kind of gone from there. Maybe just flipped it around. Maybe just gone chapter 16 and then put history at number 4. You know what I mean? But regardless, I thought he did a decent enough job. It's probably not got that much replay value for me. I'm not going to lie. Maybe a couple of records I will play back, but the whole thing not that much replay value. I would like to see him perform live. He has announced he's doing a live tour. I saw on his Instagram he did say he's doing a live tour, so there's a tour planned for the UK and Europe. He's touring UK and Europe. Let me just double check on here. As you can see the dates, this tour starts in Germany, starts in Munich on the 2nd of February. Then he goes to Paris, then Brussels, Dusseldorf, Amsterdam, Berlin, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Dublin, Glasgow, 2 dates in London, Birmingham and Manchester. So he's covering all the main places. I'm sure it's going to be a phenomenal thing to listen to or watch his show live. I'm sure there'll be a lot of guests popping up and shit. So I'm sure that will be great. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot put into the live show in terms of visuals and live bands and shit. I'm hoping it's the case anyway. I think that will be the case because he's usually not a shit artist in that regard. And he did put up something about thanking his fans too that I wish you want to check out too. It is something, yeah, there we go. He thanked his fans as well. He says, as I sit and meditate on this wonderful day, I'm here once again, grateful to all of my supporters. You have no idea how special you are as people, this world and scene. The love is unbelievable. Like seriously, I could not ask for a better people to make music for. You make life worth living, and we've grown together. When I was a little 16-year-old that trying to figure it out, I feel confident, I feel hopeful because of you guys. The way you treat the music gives me hope. It's pretty emotional, to be honest, but different conversation. Love it. You are my family. So that was a pretty touching and nice little thanks there to the fans who stood by him and waited for him to patiently put this album out. Everyone seems to be happy with it. He did write something as well about the 3rd album. He says, my 3rd album is here. After a few years of soul searching to arrive at this point, I want to say thank you to everyone who made this possible. My mom who raised me and gave me my name and destiny, my family and friends, the most talented musician that helped me bring this to life. I owe you a lot. To my supporters, I want to say, over this time I have been away, you have generally saved my life, and I couldn't think of a better group of people to do this with. I cannot believe how you have supported me. I wake up and think about you and write and pray for you, and I speak life into your lives every day that I walk this earth. I hope this album and this story aligns with yours and resonates with you. Finally, I want to thank God, his love, his light, for taking a scared little boy trying to navigate the world and giving him a chance to help others, and for protecting us all. God's story and search for purpose has guided me, and I've grown so much over these years. Once again, my people, I've missed your faces, seeing you on tour and out in the world. I'm here to stay. Thank you for being a part of history. So yeah, really nice tribute there from him to the fans. You can't really be mad at that. I wonder if that's that Rachel girl's artwork there on the wall he spoke about. He spoke about some girl's artwork that he loves. Maybe it's still on the wall in the house. But yeah, there he is there. Happy and glad and everything else. Those are the people featured on the album. James Blake, Jim Legacy, Kano, Thames, not to show the guy in the hood is there. Maybe that's the director. Maybe that's Gabriel Moses. Here's some Daniel Arsham pieces with this vinyl. That's pretty sick. He's got some Daniel Arsham pieces here with the vinyl. Fucking amazing there. So yeah, cool. Great to see. So all in all, didn't mind it. Enjoyed the album. Won't probably have much replay factor for me, but in terms of offering something different than what we have out there in the scene, I think Dave did a really good job to do so. And I really cannot wait to see how it's performed live in a live arena. But definitely recommend you check it out. Dave the boy who played harp, available now on all your digital streaming platforms. Make sure you check it out. Cool. let's talk about one last thing. I'm kind of gonna have to go over this quickly because I've got to run over and do the random show, so please forgive me for the hasty nature of this particular segment. But let's just run straight into this segment of the show, which is regarding the thumbnail. Salehe Bembury, sneaker designer, has put out his own shoes. Despite maybe many calls from many sneaker fans all over the place who probably wanted him to sign up with Nike or maybe some other brand and be the creative director there, or do some, you know, do his own line over there or something with another maybe footwear brand, he has instead decided to pursue trying to make his own shoes and kind of trying to create his own legacy that way, which I really admire, and it's something that I'm always going to encourage, and it's something that I'm always going to big up, because being an avid sneakerhead myself, one thing that I've always kind of said is really unfortunate is that there isn't really a lot of like new sneakers coming out nowadays, especially from the big sportswear brands like Nike, whatever. Nike specifically, they're not really in the game. They're not really in the game of. They're not really in it for innovation's sake. You know, they're just in it for selling as many shoes as possible, relying a lot on the archive, relying a lot on older models, and not really innovating or changing things for the better, which is why people like ourselves and others have been so infatuated with people like Ye and what he did when he was at his pomp with Yeezy over at Adidas, because like him or lump him, at least he was presenting us with new silhouettes, new shapes, new form factors, new things just to think about when it comes to footwear. And I feel like we don't really get that nowadays. Nowadays, a lot of people are just doing colorways. Obviously, there has been a little bit of a development nowadays in terms of some people having the ability to maybe go in the archives and pluck a particular retro that hasn't got any light and bringing that back to life. But again, it's still a retro. It's still a retro. And I think for me, a big indictment, a big indictment, I feel like, with the lack of innovation is always the sneaker of the year list. The sneaker of the year list on from Complex or even from Nice Cakes, wherever it is, I feel like is indicative or is reflective of just how boring the sneaker industry is in general, because most of the shoes that are in the top 10 sneakers of the year at the end of the year are usually retros. There's very rarely new silhouettes or new shoes. There's very rarely brands outside of the big three or whatever that are in the top 5. It's just the same old faces, the same old shapes, the same old form factors again and again and again. And I'm not sure about you guys, but when I came up, you know, buying sneakers, when I first got into collecting sneakers, all that malarkey, and being a quote-unquote sneakerhead, it wasn't ever about having Jordan 6 infrareds. It was about having a well-rounded collection of sneakers, whether you had Diodoras, whether you had Mizunos, whether you had Reeboks, whether you had Elysees, whether you had fucking Lacoste shoes, Puma shoes, Umbros, Nikes. It was never, and even if you had just Nike shoes, it was never about buying the bait ones. It was about, I don't know, discovering some like unhidden fucking ACG, like trying to make the mock look good, trying to make fucking the Lavar High look good, the whatever else look good. It wasn't about just having the same silhouettes. And nowadays I feel like, you know, being a sneakerhead is just, it's the same old shoes. Jordan 1s, 2 acceptable Air Maxes nowadays are what, the 95 and I don't know, the Air Max 1, Air Forces. It's like the same shapes. There's not a lot of people with, like, even nowadays, even collections, most people's collections are pretty shit. It's just the same old hype, limited edition stuff you see on all the big sites and stuff. There isn't a lot of innovation. There's not a lot of change, not a lot of freshness. So you have to big up Salehe Bembury for at least trying to do that. You don't get points just for trying. It still has to look good, and I personally think they look good. I know there's got a lot of hate online. People haven't really been rating these shoes, but I really love them. So let me show you what they look like. So big up Salehe Bembury. Salehe Bembury made these new shoes, his namesake brand. The shoes, is the brand called Salehe Bembury or is it called Sponge? No, I think no. The shoe's called Sponge, and this model is called the Osmosis, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think the brand name is Sponge, and the model itself is Osmosis. So it's not even his name. No name or nothing there. So the brand name is Sponge, and the model is Osmosis. And I really like them. I really do like them because they look very, it's a distinctive model, form factor, design wise. Immediately when you see them, you know it's a Salehe Bembury shoe without the fucking fingerprint thing, wherever. You can just immediately tell. I think the same way you can tell with Gel Tips' fucking colorways and stuff, you can immediately tell that's a shoe that he kind of worked on. I think with his design language, you can immediately tell this is something that Salehe Bembury designed. It's kind of got some little carryovers of what he's done with Crocs, which I think again is a good indication of why it's probably so important for some of these, I won't say smaller brands, but the brands who are not the big ones, the big three and shit, or the big two in Adidas and Nike. It's really important that those brands exist, because I think they give designers, they give creatives an opportunity to try things out at their level that can then inform the other things. And weirdly enough, even though a lot of these brands have non-compete clauses and shit and don't allow people to, you know, if you design for Adidas, you're probably not allowed to design for another competitive brand for another fucking 7 years and shit. I think it's really dumb, because if anything, it all kind of goes hand in hand. If you got the deal to work with Adidas on a particular shoe and you killed it, it would then be to Nike's benefit or to Adidas's benefit if they let you go and do a shoe with Nike, because it only make the Adidas shoe hyper as well. It'll make people want to buy the Adidas shoe too. It want people buy a Nike shoe too. It won't negate the other. I don't know why the companies do that. They don't really understand that it all helps tell a story. It all helps to kind of push products in the same place. So it is good that these smaller, the lower the brands underneath have that ability to let these creatives like Salehe Bembury, like Jay Tips, like I mentioned, do things, or like Joe Freshgood, sorry, do things like this. Because I feel like what he learned working with Crocs, what he learned working with what's the brand that he did before? Is it Merrell? The other kind of outdoor hiking shoe, it kind of is giving me vibes of that. I kind of feel like all the stuff that he learned from designing a shoe from the ground up, working at Crocs and working at these other brands that he's worked with, have come to inform this particular shoe. Like, we probably wouldn't have got such a polished, well finished product like this if he didn't have the opportunity to work on those things. And the same thing goes for my guy fucking John Geiger. I think the reason why John Geiger stuff looked the way it does is because all those years that he spent, you know, making fucking checked shoes and shit, you know, custom fucking Nikes. It then kind of go to inform your design process and refine what you do when you then end up going to make your own original silhouette. And the other thing I like about it too is that this could probably look a lot more digestible if it had a traditional midsole, if that makes sense. The fact that he's got this like really bulbous, protruding, kind of like, you know, lumpy outsole, midsole type of thing going on, which is already done before, but still, you know what I mean? It's kind of got like a little bit of a boaty, U-y type of shape here. It's not traditionally as kind of maybe flat as maybe your regular kind of midsole would be. I think it's what people kind of throws people off a little bit. I think if you just had like a quote unquote if you took like the midsole of a New Balance 991 and put this on that, I think most people will be into it. They'll be like, oh my god, it's not too bad. But because it's got this sort of a midsole and outsole, it makes it look a lot more challenging than it probably is when you put it on your foot. So I think this shoe is going to probably age. It's going to age well. It's going to grow into people in the same way the Juniper grew into me when I first saw it. I fucking hate the Juniper. And over time, you're like, you know what? I see what he was kind of doing with his shoe. And if you style it in a particular way or whatever, it works. And just in general too, it's just something different than what you see out there. You know, you just want something a little bit different. And you're kind of getting it with this particular shoe. So I really do like what he's done here with the mud guard. The panels are interesting, the way he's done them. I don't know if that's neoprene, and they kind of look like they've got this like invisible seam on them, which I think is they're usually kind of glued. There's not a lot of stitching going on there. So I wonder if that's done on purpose. There's not a lot of stitching overall on the shoe. It looks like it's mostly kind of glued, most of the components, most of the parts, like the mud guard and the toe unit. There are some stitching bits here on the eye stay, or maybe the toe box here that's got stitching, but most of it is kind of like hidden. I kind of like that. I'm also a big fan of the logo. I think, I'm not gonna lie, maybe he would disagree, but I think if you got a chance to design your own shoe from the ground up, one of the hardest things to do is the fucking logo. What to do with the logo? Because Nike and Adidas have got such a prominent, amazing branding in their logos, and it's so ingrained in your head. It's very hard not to just copy what they did. Like, what do you do to the side of your shoe? Which is why I think Kanye was really clever, or when he was obviously doing his Yeezy on Adidas, where for the most part I don't think he had any branding. I think in the beginning Adidas trying to basically force him to have some branding, where he'd have these like 3M stripes that would sit underneath the side mesh of the shoe, so you couldn't actually see it if, you know, no one shone a light on the 3M stripes, but there wasn't any kind of overt obvious branding. So it must be really hard when you start a new footwear brand to be like, okay, cool, what's my logo? Where do I put that logo? Do I make the logo look like a shooting star, so it looks like a Nike thing? Do I make it kind of go, you know, right across so it looks like an Adidas thing? Do I really enlarge it so it looks like a New Balance N? You know, it's kind of tricky what to do. But I think that kind of splash logo, I think that looks really good. I think it works because it's kind of playful. It looks kind of like it looks kind of yeah, it looks playful. It looks spongy. If that makes any sense, it's something, you know. It's kind of like it kind of looks like if you got like some clay in your hand and you or what's that thing that kids use where you squeeze it and all the bits kind of protrude out of the gaps in your hand. That's what it kind of reminds me of, right? A little bit. I don't know what that squeegee ball is, or maybe it's a thing you give dogs. It's that thing you push it and it kind of comes. So it gives me that sort of vibe. I do like that he's gone with this particular look on the, because he probably could have, when it comes to the lace stay area, he probably could have done what Ye did with the fucking 350, right? Or even what John Geiger, even John Geiger, that's what he clever did. So I think there are, when it comes to shoes nowadays, right? People don't usually tend to do what they used to do back in the days, like in the 80s or 90s, where you'd have like a separate tongue. Usually the tongue is like connected to the sock liner, which I think is what's happening here. I think this bit here probably goes down to the bottom, similar to like an Hirachi. I don't know why people do that nowadays. There's probably a reason for it. But when people design newer shoes, there's rarely newer shoes that are like done in the traditional, like think about a New Balance 574, just that tongue, you know, like a nice nylon tongue. They don't do that. So I think when you do that though, it then immediately makes your shoe, I don't know, it gives your shoe like an unnecessary athletic performance look that it doesn't need to have, because I think these are more lifestyle comfort sort of things. But immediately when you have that kind of non kind of like detachable or movable tongue thing, it kind of makes your shoe look way more performance, if that makes any sense. So I think the trick to like not make it look like that but still keeping it like, you know, how you want it with the sock liner thing, is to then insert this an obvious laced kind of construct, I don't know what that's called, like a lace stay, I guess, right? An obvious lace stay bit. That's how you think you're able to kind of blend the both things, so that you have this performance look, you have this really sleek kind of like silhouette and shape to when you're looking at it from the side, but then you also have this bit here where the laces kind of go in, where it kind of gives the shoe a more of a sneakery feel, if that makes any sense. So I think that's a really good little thing he did there. I also love the little pull tab or the little hang tag here that says Sponge as well. The lace loop at the back is a nice touch, because, you know, obviously it's function, but it's also a nice touch in terms of pop of color when the other colorway is coming forward. The sock lining matching the underneath of the tongue is a good touch as well. And I also like the back of the heel, the back of the midsole here. You got these really big, like wider, I guess, holes that kind of expose this spongy technology foam, I guess, on the midsole, which kind of make it look like air bubbles. I quite like that. I quite like how the bigger holes are at the back, so it kind of makes it look like an air bubble. Like it's got some one big air bubble unit there. I quite like that bit. That's quite a nice little touch. You go from having all the holes covered here at the front, having some of the holes exposed in the middle, and then they get bigger towards the back. I think that's a really fucking clever touch. So I like that personally. Let's look at some of the different colorways. You see the instep here as well, clean on the inside, no logo branding at all. And yeah, I like them, man. I really do like them. And I also have to give him credit, because I think when it comes to creating newer silhouettes, I think Salehe Bembury does a really good job. Maybe it's his design background, maybe it's because he actually was a sneakerhead. I feel like he takes a lot of care in how a shoe looks from the top down, because that's the angle that a lot of us used to take our pictures of our shoes when we used to upload them on like where are you wearing threads on forums. I feel like he takes a lot of time in trying to design a shoe that looks good from the top down, which is something that you don't really get a lot nowadays. A lot of the shoes nowadays, you put them on and then they only look good from the side, or they look good when you cover the most of the shoe with a jean or with a pant and shit. But I think he does a really good job to make it look good from the top down. As you can see here, you got these really nice big holes at the front here, which will kind of expose some of the mesh. And you can imagine this in different colorways, how that's going to pop through as well. You got the laces there, and you can still see the logo from the side. So I think that looks fucking brilliant. And it looks brilliant also covered. So for instance, imagine if you was going to wear them with a big pant, you just see that. That'd be a nice thing for people to see. If you're wearing maybe a slightly less big baggy, you'd see that laces. If you had your shorts on and shit, and that's what you'd see looking down. And I think they look great. It's not overly, you know, there's not super loads of stuff kind of bursting to at the sides, but it still has a nice little sleek silhouette to it. I quite like it. So it's chunky, but still slim and sleek. I don't mind that at all. The outsole too is pretty cool. Yeah, I like the outsole. The outsole kind of looks like you step in molten lava. I really do like those as well. And here's another colorway. More of a, what's that, lavender green type of colorway. Oh, I like how they swapped out the sponge color, so it's a neon green. That's quite a nice sort of touch there. Again, similar to like an air bubble look there. Oh, that's actually, you know what, this actually might be my favorite one. One of my favorite ones. I quite like that. I think that would look amazing once you wore that. Once you wear that in, that lavender, that sort of color that would wear in. Oh, look at the tongue too. I didn't see that. Look at that little detail on the tongue. The little mesh bit here at the top. That's quite a cool little nod there. I wonder what that's about. There's like a little section here of the tongue where there's like a neoprene bit of the tongue, which I'm assuming connects to the sock liner. Or maybe it connects down there like a TL, like MX90 or an MX TL that I have. Usually the sock liner goes towards, so it's like a tongue, but it goes down and it kind of cuts through the instep of your foot, but it doesn't go towards the back of the heel. But then there's a little bit there that's mesh, and a little bit there that's that kind of neoprene type material. I wonder why that's done that way. But that colorway is gorgeous. That will wear in really nice, that kind of pink green one. This purple green one I'm looking at here. Oh, look at that. I didn't notice that as well. I love that detail on the back of the heel tab. The back of the heel pull tab, there's like the sponge logo there. And it's if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of it's not printed on also, which means it's not going to crack and break. That's incredible. That's a really nice touch there. I really like that. And there's some vents or some ventilation here at the back, right? These little holes in the back. And there's the sponge tech material or sponge tech stuff that he's pushing, which is also pretty cool. There's the outsole. There's also a green pair. It's maybe my least favorite pair, that one there. This kind of greeny pair. Oh, the blues. Yes, this is another one. This blue is gorgeous. Wow. Mostly different types of blues, right? Or maybe the same type of blues, but different on different material applications. They come up different. But you got the blue here in the front, or the mud guard. You got more here on the toe box, different type of material, different types of neoprene, I think, something there. And then you've got the mesh as well, it's blue, ultramarine or whatever. Same goes for the midsole, and then the sponge technology stuff is orange. That's a really fucking nice touch there. I love that. Those are really fucking cool. Oh, look how good they look for the top down. These have so much good top down fucking function towards them. I fucking love those. They look great. So big up him for that. And then here's a box. And that's it. Pretty cool. I quite like them, man. Honestly, I think unnecessary hate. And they're only $150. Wow. Only $150. That is fucking great. Big up Salehe Bembury. Be a sponge. Be a fucking sponge. Big up blood clot Salehe Bembury. This blurb says, Salehe Bembury knows no bounds. The prolific footwear designer has collaborated with countless brands, bring his distinctive design language to a mix of iconic and novel silhouettes. While he continues to bring fresh energy to industry titans, Bembury is taking a bold new step next week with the introduction of his own footwear brand, Sponge. Following various teasers throughout the summer, SPUNGE Osmosis has been finally revealed. The sneaker serves as Sponge's first original silhouette and balances performance and lifestyle elements with a unique runner shape. One element that sets it apart from other shoes is the proprietary squish technology. This foam serves as a cushioning system and is encased with an engineered stability cage. All four colorways, the Mung, Slaw, Yukon and Malawi, feature dynamic color compositions and sponge. These feels like some Dr. Umar, isn't it? These feel like some Dr. Umar-esque fucking names for the trainer. I'm not gonna lie. These sound like fucking Dr. Umar. These sound like what's it? FDM Academy fucking classroom names, isn't it? Mung, Slaw, Yukon and Malawi. Some Dr. Umar Johnson level names here. Big up Salehe though. Sponge will officially launch next week with the winners of the Osmosis sneaker raffles are selected. $150. They'll be available on the street market. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, fucking phenomenal. I like them, man. I like them. Me personally, I like them. I would actually love to grab a pair and actually go for a run in them or work out, see what they feel like working out. That'd be interesting to see what the vibe is. Or maybe someone will do that. Maybe someone will wear test them for a year working out or something and see how they kind of look. But I like them. I think they look really cool. I can't wait to see what he does going forward with the brand Sponge. And I give him a lot of credit for actually trying to do his own shoe and not just fucking, you know, working with Nike, working with an established brand and just doing fucking retros for the rest of his life. He does retros still, colorways wise, but original shoe, when you get the opportunity, do so. It's fucking phenomenal. I love it. I love it. I love it. Big up Salehe Bembury. Big up blood clot Salehe Bembury. Okay, people, thank you for tuning in. Axion Zinger Show episode number 962 is over. If you listen to the show via the audio side of the podcast, you'll be hearing my tune of the day. It'll be courtesy of Peasy. Big up Blood Clot Peasy. It'll be a song called I think it's Mowa Swag. I think it's Mowa Swag is my tune of the day. Mowa Swag by Peasy is going to be playing at least with the sound of my voice. If you're watching the show via the YouTube, you will not hear the sound of the day. It will switch over to the random show, which I'll be starting in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes random show will be starting. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see the rest of you guys later. Excellent Show episode number 962. We're out. Thank you so much. Peace, 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 peace.